The transport ship shook hard as it entered the atmosphere of Veloris Prime. Marcus Cole gripped the handles above his seat and watched the other passengers. Most were alien traders and diplomats. He was the only human on the ship. Marcus was a soldier. He had been a soldier for 12 years in Earth Space Marines. Now he was retired, or at least he thought he was. The galaxy had become a strange place since humans joined the Galactic Council. There were jobs for humans everywhere. Some wanted human engineers. Some wanted human doctors. But mostly, they wanted human warriors. Humans had earned a reputation in the galaxy. They were small compared to many species. They lived short lives, but they fought like nothing else in the known universe. They did not give up. They did not surrender. They kept fighting even when all hope was gone. This made them valuable. Marcus had taken a job as a security consultant for a mining company on Veloris Prime. The pay was good. The work was supposed to be easy. Just train some local guards and help set up defense systems. Nothing dangerous. The ship landed with a heavy thump. Marcus grabbed his bag and walked down the ramp. The air was thick and warm. The sky was purple with 3 small moons visible even in daylight. Everything smelled like flowers and metal mixed together. A thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms waited for him at the bottom of the ramp. It wore simple clothes and held a sign with his name on it. "Mr. Cole?" the creature asked. Its voice was high and musical. "That's me," Marcus said. "I am Turek. I will take you to the mining compound. Please follow." Marcus followed Turek through the spaceport. It was busy with aliens of all kinds moving around. Some were tall and thin. Some were short and wide. Some had fur. Some had scales. Marcus had seen many alien species in his years of service, but he still found himself looking around with curiosity. They got into a small hover vehicle and Turek drove them out of the spaceport and into the countryside. The landscape was beautiful. Rolling hills covered with purple and blue plants stretched in every direction. In the distance, Marcus could see tall mountains with white peaks. "Veloris Prime is nice," Marcus said. "It is our home," Turek said. "The Velorian people have lived here for 10,000 years. We are peaceful people. We do not fight. We do not make war." "Then why do you need security?" Turek was quiet for a moment. "There are others who are not peaceful. The Craxi have been attacking our outer settlements. They take our people. They take our resources. Our queen has asked the Galactic Council for help, but they say we must wait. They say the Craxi are not breaking any laws because our outer settlements are in disputed territory." Marcus frowned. He had heard of the Craxi. They were a warrior race from the Outer Rim. They were known for raiding and enslaving weaker species. The Galactic Council often looked the other way because the Craxi were useful in certain conflicts. "That's not right," Marcus said. "No," Turek agreed. "It is not, but we are not warriors. We cannot fight them. We can only hope they do not come to our main cities." The hover vehicle continued through the beautiful landscape. After an hour, they reached the mining compound. It was a collection of metal buildings surrounded by a simple fence. Marcus could see the problem immediately. The fence was too low. There were no guard towers. The buildings had no defensive positions. If the Craxi attacked here, the people would have no chance. "Who is in charge here?" Marcus asked. "Administrator Velos. He is waiting for you inside." Marcus met with Administrator Velos, a tall Velorian with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Velos explained the situation. The mining compound extracted valuable crystals from the ground. The crystals were used in energy production across the galaxy. The compound had been attacked twice in the past month. Both times, the workers had hidden in the caves until the Craxi left. "We cannot keep losing workers and equipment," Velos said. "We need protection." "I'll do what I can," Marcus said. "But I need resources, materials to build proper defenses, people willing to learn how to fight." "We are not fighters, Mr. Cole. Everyone can learn to defend themselves. It's not about being violent. It's about protecting what matters. Over the next few days, Marcus worked hard. He designed better defenses for the compound. He built barriers and set up alarm systems. He trained the workers in basic self-defense and taught them how to use the simple weapons available. The Valorians were not natural fighters, but they learned quickly. Their forearms made them surprisingly good with certain techniques. On the 5th day, Marcus was testing the new alarm system when the ground shook. A massive explosion lit up the sky to the east. He ran to the highest point in the compound and looked out. What he saw made his blood run cold. A Craxi warship was descending toward the capital city of Veloris Prime. It was not just a raid. This was an invasion. "Get everyone to the caves," Marcus shouted. "Now." The workers ran for safety while Marcus watched the distant city. More ships were appearing in the sky. The Craxi were coming in force. This was not about taking a few workers or stealing some resources. They were going to take the whole planet. Marcus had two choices. He could stay at the compound and protect the workers, or he could go to the capital and help fight the invasion. The compound had its defenses now. The workers knew what to do, but the capital had nothing. The Valorians were not warriors. They would be slaughtered. "Turek," Marcus called. The thin creature ran to him. "Can this vehicle reach the capital?" "Yes, but why would you go there? It is dangerous." "Because someone has to fight. Keep everyone safe here. I'll be back." Marcus grabbed his weapons from his room. He had brought them out of habit, never expecting to use them. A pulse rifle, a combat knife, a small explosive kit, standard marine equipment. He loaded up the hover vehicle and started toward the capital. The purple sky was filling with smoke and fire. The Craxi ships were landing all around the city. Marcus could hear the sounds of weapons firing and people screaming. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. This was what he was trained for. This was what humans did. He reached the outskirts of the capital in 20 minutes. The streets were chaos. Valorian civilians were running everywhere, trying to escape the Craxi soldiers. The aliens were massive creatures with red skin and sharp teeth. They stood 2 meters tall and carried heavy weapons. They were laughing as they chased the fleeing civilians. Marcus stopped his vehicle and stepped out. 3 Craxi soldiers were dragging a group of Valorians toward a transport. The Valorians were crying and begging for mercy. The Craxi ignored them. "Hey," Marcus shouted. The Craxi turned to look at him. They saw a small human standing alone with a rifle. They laughed. "A human," one said in broken Galactic Common. "One human thinks he can stop us. Kill him." The Craxi raised their weapons, but Marcus was already moving. Humans were small and weak compared to many species, but they were also fast and unpredictable. Marcus dropped to one knee and fired 3 shots in rapid succession. Each shot found its target. 3 Craxi fell to the ground, dead. The laughing stopped. Marcus freed the captured Valorians and told them to run. Then he moved deeper into the city. He had no plan. He had no backup. He only knew that he could not stand by while innocent people were killed. It was not the smart thing to do. It was the human thing to do. The battle for Veloris Prime had begun, and Marcus Cole was going to fight it alone if he had to. The capital city burned around him as Marcus pushed forward through the streets. Smoke filled the air and made his eyes water. The sounds of screaming and weapons fire came from every direction. He moved from cover to cover, using the training that had been drilled into him for 12 years. He found more groups of Craxi soldiers along the way. Some were looting buildings. Some were capturing civilians. Each time Marcus attacked. He was outnumbered and outgunned, but he had something the Craxi did not expect. He had determination that would not break. The Craxi were used to easy victories. They raided planets where people surrendered quickly. They had never faced a human in combat before. They did not understand how one small creature could keep fighting when the odds were so terrible. Marcus took a wound to his left arm in one fight. The Craxi energy weapon burned through his flesh and left a smoking hole. Any other species might have stopped. Marcus wrapped the wound with cloth and kept moving. Pain was just information. It told him he was still alive. He reached the central plaza of the capital after an hour of fighting. The plaza was large and open, with beautiful fountains and statues made of crystal. Now it was filled with Craxi soldiers and their prisoners. Hundreds of Valorians knelt on the ground with their hands tied behind their backs. Guards walked among them, kicking anyone who moved. At the center of the plaza stood a raised platform. On the platform was a throne made of the same crystal as the statues, and on the throne sat the most beautiful creature Marcus had ever seen. She was Valorian but different from the others. Her skin was deep blue like the ocean on Earth. Her eyes glowed with soft golden light. She wore a crown of silver and crystal on her head. Her forearms were bound with thick chains. Despite her situation, she sat with perfect dignity and did not show fear. This was Queen Liara of Veloris Prime. A massive Craxi stood before her. He was bigger than the others, covered in scars from many battles. His armor was decorated with bones and teeth from conquered enemies. This was obviously the leader of the invasion. "Your planet belongs to us now," the Craxi leader growled. "Your people will serve us. You will be my prize, the great Queen Liara, slave to Warchief Thrax." Queen Liara looked at him with calm golden eyes. "My people do not serve. My people do not bend. Kill me if you wish, but know that others will come. The galaxy will not allow this crime." Thrax laughed. His soldiers laughed with him. "The galaxy does nothing. The Galactic Council talks and talks but never acts. No one will save you, little queen. No one cares about your peaceful planet." "I care." The voice cut through the plaza like a knife. Every head turned to look at the source. Marcus stepped out of the shadows, his rifle raised, his wounded arm hanging at his side. Blood dripped from his fingers onto the crystal ground. Thrax stared at him with confusion. "What is this? A human? One human. One human is enough." Marcus opened fire. The Craxi near him fell before they could react. The plaza erupted into chaos. Soldiers ran for cover. Prisoners screamed and tried to crawl away from the fighting. Marcus moved through the confusion like water through rocks, always changing direction, never staying still. The Craxi returned fire, but they could not hit him. Humans had evolved on a dangerous world. They had spent millions of years hunting and being hunted. Their bodies could do things that seemed impossible to other species. They could change direction in an instant. They could sense danger before it arrived. They could push through pain that would paralyze others. Marcus fought his way toward the platform where Queen Liara sat. Her golden eyes followed him with something like amazement. She had never seen anything like this. No one on her planet had. Thrax roared with anger. "Kill him, all of you, kill him now." More soldiers poured into the plaza. Marcus ran out of ammunition for his rifle. He dropped it and pulled his knife. A Craxi charged at him with a blade the size of his leg. Marcus ducked under the swing and drove his knife into the creature's throat. Hot blood sprayed across his face. Another soldier attacked from behind. Marcus spun and used the body of the first Craxi as a shield. The energy blast tore through the dead creature and stopped before reaching Marcus. He pushed the body away and threw his knife. It buried itself in the attacker's eye. He was surrounded now. 5 Craxi formed a circle around him. They had learned that rushing in alone meant death. They would attack together. Marcus smiled. His body was broken and bleeding. He had no weapons. He was going to die, but he would take as many of these monsters with him as he could. The Craxi charged. A sound like thunder filled the plaza. Beams of bright light cut through the air and struck the attacking soldiers. They fell to the ground, smoking and dead. Marcus looked up and saw a ship descending from the sky. It was not a Craxi ship. It was sleek and silver, with the symbol of the Valorian Royal Guard on its side. The ship landed at the edge of the plaza and soldiers poured out. They were Valorians, but they carried weapons and wore armor. Marcus realized that not all Valorians were peaceful workers. The Royal Guard must have been trained for exactly this kind of situation. The remaining Craxi in the plaza were quickly overwhelmed. Thrax tried to run, but Marcus tackled him to the ground. They rolled across the crystal surface, fighting for control. Thrax was twice his size and many times stronger. He grabbed Marcus by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "Human fool," Thrax snarled. "You think you have won. You are nothing, you are a pest. I will crush you and then kill everyone on this planet." Marcus could not breathe. His vision was going dark, but his hands found a sharp piece of broken crystal on the ground. He gripped it tight and swung it with all his remaining strength. The crystal shard sank deep into Thrax's eye. The warchief screamed and dropped Marcus. He stumbled backward, clawing at his ruined face. The royal guards surrounded him and fired their weapons. Thrax fell to the ground and did not move again. Marcus lay on the crystal surface, staring up at the purple sky. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. Every bone in his body ached, but he was alive and the queen was safe. A face appeared above him. Golden eyes looked down at him with wonder and gratitude. Queen Liara had been freed from her chains. She knelt beside him and placed one of her hands on his forehead. "Human," she said softly, "what is your name?" "Marcus Cole." "Marcus Cole, you saved my people, you saved me. Why?" Marcus tried to think of something heroic to say, but he was too tired for heroics. The truth came out instead. "Because it was the right thing to do." Queen Liara smiled. It was a beautiful smile that made her golden eyes shine even brighter. "Then rest now, Marcus Cole. You are safe. We will take care of you." Marcus closed his eyes and let the darkness take him. The last thing he felt was her hand on his face, warm and gentle like sunshine. He woke up in a room made of crystal. Sunlight poured through the walls and created rainbows everywhere he looked. He was lying in a soft bed that seemed to float above the floor. His wounds had been wrapped in bandages that glowed with soft light. A Valorian healer sat beside his bed, monitoring strange devices that floated in the air. She noticed he was awake and smiled. "You are strong, human. Your wounds were terrible. Anyone else would have died. But you kept healing, kept fighting to live. It took 3 days, but you survived." 3 days. Marcus tried to sit up and winced at the pain. "Do not move. You are not fully healed yet. The queen has been waiting to see you. She visits every few hours. I will tell her you are awake." The healer left the room. Marcus looked around at the beautiful crystal chamber. He was obviously in the royal palace. The craftsmanship was incredible. Every surface was carved with delicate patterns that caught the light and sparkled. The door opened, and Queen Liara entered. She had changed from the chains and torn clothes of the invasion day. Now she wore a flowing gown of silver and blue that moved like water when she walked. Her crown sat perfectly on her head. She was even more beautiful than he remembered. "Marcus Cole," she said, her voice was like music, "you are awake at last." "Your Majesty." Marcus tried to bow from his bed and failed completely. Liara laughed softly and sat in a chair beside him. "Do not try to move. You have earned your rest. No one in my kingdom has ever fought the way you did." "I did what I had to do." "You did more than that. You came to a planet you did not know. You fought for people you had never met. You faced an army alone. Why? You could have stayed at your compound. You could have hidden. But you came to fight. I need to understand why." Marcus thought about the question. It was a good question. Why had he done it? He had no connection to Veloris Prime. He had no obligation to protect its people. He could have stayed safe and let the invasion happen. "On Earth," he said slowly, "we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. I saw evil happening. I could not do nothing." Liara studied him with her golden eyes. "Your people are strange. You live such short lives compared to us. You die so easily. Yet you fight harder than any species in the galaxy. You throw yourselves into danger for others. It does not make sense. Maybe that's why we fight so hard. We know our time is short. We want to make it mean something. The queen was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand in one of hers. Her skin was smooth and cool. The Craxi fleet has been destroyed, she said. When word spread that a single human had killed Warchief Thrax, their commanders lost their will to fight. Your people have a reputation, Marcus Cole. The other Craxi ships surrendered or fled. My planet is saved because of you. I'm glad. The Galactic Council has sent ships now. They say they will protect us from future attacks. They act like heroes, but they came only after the danger passed. You came when the danger was greatest. There was anger in her voice. Marcus understood. The Council had abandoned her people when they needed help most. Now they wanted to take credit for saving them. Politics, Marcus said. It's the same everywhere. Yes, but I will not forget who truly saved us. I will not forget you. She squeezed his hand. Rest now, heal. When you are well, we will talk more. There is much I want to ask you. She stood and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she turned back to look at him. Marcus Cole, you are the bravest person I have ever known. Whatever you want from my kingdom, you shall have it. Then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts and his rainbow-filled room. The weeks that followed were the strangest of Marcus's life. He healed slowly. The Valorian medicine was advanced, but his wounds had been severe. Every day he grew stronger, and every day Queen Liara came to visit him. At first their conversations were formal. She asked about human history and culture. He asked about Valorian traditions and beliefs. But as time passed, the conversations became more personal. She told him about her childhood in the palace. He told her about growing up on Earth in a small town near the mountains. She laughed at his jokes, even the bad ones. He found himself looking forward to her visits more than anything else. He noticed the way her eyes lit up when she smiled. He noticed the gentle way she moved her forearms when she spoke. He was falling in love with an alien queen. It was crazy. It was impossible, but it was happening anyway. One evening, Liara came to his room with a serious expression on her face. She sat in her usual chair and did not speak for a long time. What's wrong? Marcus asked. My advisors have been talking to me. They say I must marry. Our people need stability after the invasion. They need to know the royal line will continue. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. I see. They have brought me offers from noble families across the galaxy, princes and lords who want to add Veloris Prime to their influence. They are rich. They are powerful. They would bring strong alliances. That sounds practical. Liara looked at him with her golden eyes. Do you not want to know what I told them? What did you tell them? She stood and walked to the window. The setting sun made her skin glow like the deep ocean. I told them that I had already chosen. I told them that my heart had been won by the bravest warrior in the galaxy. I told them that I would marry Marcus Cole or I would marry no one at all. Marcus forgot how to breathe. What? She turned to face him. You heard me. I love you, Marcus. I have loved you since I saw you standing alone against an army. I have loved you more with every conversation we have shared. I do not care that you are human. I do not care that our lives are different. I only know that I want to spend my life with you. Marcus stood from his bed, ignoring the pain in his still healing body. He walked to her and took her hands in his. Your advisors must hate this idea. They do. They say it is impossible. They say humans are too different. They say our people will never accept it. What do you say? She smiled her beautiful smile. I say that I am the queen. I say that I have seen what one human can do when he believes in something. I say that love is worth fighting for, just like freedom is worth fighting for. Marcus pulled her close. She fit against him perfectly, despite being taller with 4 arms instead of 2. Her skin was cool against his warmth. Her heart's beat against his chest in a rhythm he had never heard before. "I love you too," he said. "I didn't plan on it, I didn't expect it, but I love you, Liara, I want to stay with you." She kissed him then, a kiss that tasted like flowers and starlight and promises. It was the first kiss of many to come. The announcement of their engagement shocked the galaxy. A human marrying an alien queen was unprecedented. The news spread across every planet in the Galactic Council. Some called it beautiful. Some called it disgusting. Most called it impossible. Marcus did not care about the opinions of strangers. He cared about Liara. He cared about her people, who had welcomed him as a hero and now had to accept him as their future king. The wedding preparations began immediately. Valorian tradition required elaborate ceremonies that lasted for days. Marcus had to learn new customs, new dances, new ways of speaking. It was exhausting and confusing and wonderful all at once. The day before the wedding, Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the rebuilt capital city. The scars from the invasion were still visible in some places. Broken buildings, empty spaces where homes once stood, but there was also new construction, new hope. The Valorians were rebuilding and they were stronger than before. Liara joined him on the balcony. She wrapped two of her arms around his waist and rested her head on his shoulder. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "Terrified." She laughed. The human who fought an army alone is afraid of a wedding. "Fighting is easy, love is hard." "Is it?" He turned to look at her. "It's the hardest thing there is, opening yourself to someone, trusting them with everything you are, knowing they can hurt you more than any enemy ever could. But you do it anyway." "Yes, because the reward is worth the risk, because being alone is worse than being vulnerable." He kissed her forehead. "Because you make me happier than I have ever been." "You make me happy too, Marcus. Before you came, I was just a queen. I had duty and responsibility, but nothing more. Now I have love. Now I have a partner who will stand beside me no matter what comes." "Always," he promised. "Whatever happens, I will be with you." The sun set over Veloris Prime, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Tomorrow, Marcus Cole would become the first human king in galactic history. Tomorrow, a new chapter would begin. But tonight, he just held the woman he loved and watched the stars come out one by one. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather and celebration throughout the kingdom. The capital city was filled with flowers and music. Valorians danced in the streets and sang songs of joy. Even the members of other species who had come as guests seemed caught up in the happiness. Marcus stood at the altar in the great crystal cathedral. He wore a uniform that combined human military tradition with Valorian royal style. It was uncomfortable and strange, but Liara had designed it herself, and that made it perfect. The guests filled every seat. Diplomats and nobles from across the galaxy had come to witness this historic event. Marcus saw faces from dozens of different species. Most looked curious. Some looked skeptical. A few looked openly hostile. He ignored them all and focused on the doors at the far end of the cathedral. The music changed, the great doors opened, and Liara walked toward him. She was more beautiful than anything Marcus had ever seen. Her gown flowed behind her like a river of light. Her crown sparkled with 1,000 crystals. Her golden eyes were fixed on him, and they were filled with love. The ceremony was long and complicated. There were vows in 3 languages. There were rituals that Marcus did not fully understand. There were prayers to gods he had never heard of. But through it all, he held Liara's hands and looked into her eyes, and nothing else mattered. When the moment came to seal their union, they kissed while the cathedral erupted in cheers. Marcus felt tears on his face and did not care. He was married to a queen. He was home. The celebration that followed lasted for 3 days. There was feasting and dancing and endless toasts to the happy couple. Guests from every corner of the galaxy gave gifts and made speeches. Marcus smiled until his face hurt and shook hands until his arm went numb. Through it all, Liara stayed by his side. They stole quiet moments whenever they could, sneaking away from the crowds to share a kiss or simply hold hands in silence. They did not need words. They understood each other perfectly. On the final night of celebration, Marcus stood on the palace balcony once again. The city below was alive with light and music. Fireworks exploded in the purple sky. He could hear the happy voices of the Valorian people celebrating their new king and queen. Liara joined him, slipping her arm through his. "What are you thinking about?" "About how strange life is. A few months ago, I was a retired soldier taking a boring security job. Now I'm a king." "Does it frighten you?" "A little. I don't know anything about being a king." "You will learn. You are good at learning." "I'm good at fighting. I'm not sure those skills will help with royal duties." Liara smiled. "You would be surprised. Being a ruler often requires the same courage as being a warrior, the courage to make difficult decisions, the courage to stand firm when others want you to bend, the courage to protect those who depend on you." When you put it that way, it sounds almost familiar. "You see, you are already prepared." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the celebration below. After a while, Marcus spoke again. "Do you think they will accept me? Your people, I mean. Will they really accept a human as their king?" Liara thought about the question carefully. "Some will have doubts. That is natural. You are different from us in many ways, but you saved them. You fought for them when no one else would. Actions speak louder than words, and your actions have shown them who you truly are." "I hope you're right." "I am always right. I am the queen." Marcus laughed. "Is that how this marriage is going to work?" "It is exactly how this marriage is going to work." She kissed his cheek. "But I will pretend to listen to your opinions sometimes, for appearances." They returned to the celebration hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The years that followed were not always easy. There were challenges and conflicts. Some noble families refused to accept a human king. Some foreign powers tried to exploit what they saw as weakness. Trade disputes and territorial arguments demanded constant attention. But Marcus faced each challenge the way he had faced the Craxi invasion, with determination, with courage, with a refusal to give up no matter how difficult things became. And always, Liara was beside him, her wisdom balancing his strength. The people of Veloris Prime slowly came to love their human king. He learned their language and their customs. He visited their villages and listened to their problems. He worked to improve their lives in small ways and large. When danger threatened, he was the first to respond. Word of his deeds spread across the galaxy. Humans everywhere felt a surge of pride when they heard about the human who had become a king through bravery and love. The story inspired others to reach beyond their limits, to believe that anything was possible. 5 years after the wedding, Liara gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They had their mother's golden eyes and their father's stubborn determination. Marcus held them for the first time and felt tears streaming down his face. "They are beautiful," he whispered. "They are half human and half Valorian," Liara said. "The first of their kind. They will be bridge between our peoples. They will be loved. That's all that matters." The children grew up in a palace filled with joy. They learned the ways of both their parents. The prince studied combat and strategy from his father. The princess learned diplomacy and grace from her mother. But they were also taught the most important lesson of all. That courage without compassion was empty. That strength without love was meaningless. 20 years after the invasion, Marcus Cole stood on the balcony of the Crystal Palace one last time. His hair had turned gray. His body carried the scars of many battles, but his spirit was still strong and his heart was still full. Liara stood beside him, still beautiful after all these years. Her people lived long lives and she had aged more slowly than him, but she had never once regretted choosing a human as her husband. "Are you happy?" she asked him. "More than I ever dreamed possible." "Do you regret anything?" Marcus thought about the question. He thought about his life before Veloris Prime, the battles he had fought, the friends he had lost, the long years of loneliness before he found love. "No," he said finally. "Everything that happened led me here, to you, to our children, to this life. I would not change a single moment." Liara took his hand. "I love you, Marcus Cole. From the first moment I saw you standing against an army, I knew you were special. I just did not know how special until you showed me every day for 20 years. I love you too, and I will love you until my last breath and beyond." The sun set over Veloris Prime, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Below, the kingdom prospered in peace. Their children laughed somewhere in the palace. The future stretched ahead, full of promise and possibility. Marcus had come to an alien world as a simple soldier. He had become a hero, a husband, a father, and a king. But more than all of those things, he had become something he never expected. He had become exactly where he belonged. The story of Marcus Cole became legend throughout the galaxy. They told tales of the human warrior who saved a planet and won the heart of its queen. They told their children about his courage and his love. They pointed to the stars and said that somewhere out there, anything was possible. And on Veloris Prime, in the Crystal Palace, the human king lived happily ever after with his alien queen. Because that is what humans do. They fight, they love, they never give up, and sometimes, against all odds, they find their way to a happy ending. This was the story of Marcus Cole, the warrior, the king, the man who proved that being human meant being capable of anything. Humanity, yes,